Welcome, everyone. My name's Vida, and this is Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast, a podcast where we discuss current news and developments happening in the cricket world with a special focus on Sri Lanka cricket. This is episode 5 of season 1, and I'm joined by my co host Sohan. How are you doing, Bora?
Good weather, keeping well, getting ready for the season ahead. How have you been?
Yeah, I'm good too, Bora. It's grand final weekend here in Victoria. A rare long weekend for us. Demons won against Bulldogs last night. One thing I miss about living in Sri Lanka is the long weekends, Bora.
I mean, we get a lot of long weekends or at least holidays in Sri Lanka. Definitely one per month with the years falling in. So we do miss that free time in Sri Lanka, don't we?
Yeah, I think we might hold the world record for public holidays in the world, Bora. Maybe
Yeah.
someone can fact check that for us and let us know in our Facebook community. We would like
Yeah.
to know where we stand in the world. And we have a lot to talk about today, mainly about big news about Mahela joining Sri Lanka team for the World Cup T20 qualifiers. And IPL is in full flow at the moment. England joined the bandwagon to cancel their tour to Pakistan. A few Sri Lankan boys are playing in the Everest Premier League. Aussie women's cricket team flying high, and they haven't lost a game for 26 matches so far. So we got a lot to talk about. We are getting ready for the cricket season here in Victoria, and cricket in Northern Territory and Queensland has already started. Sheffield Shield has started as well. So we are approaching our vaccination targets, and hopefully we'll be good to go in the first week of November. Bora, what's happening with your club cricket training?
Yeah, I think with the roadmap been outlined, we November midweek or the back end of November, we're hoping to play our first round of cricket. I think it's overall in Victoria, but that's community cricket. Trainings at our club, a lot of it is personal training, so it's in full flow. We have our players who are working on, more individual programs. So it's a mixture of running, building up functional strength, because the season's going to be short format cricket. So limited over games will be played, at least for the first half of the season. But I have a strong feeling that it might be more short format cricket similar to last year. Since we are talking about training, I thought it will be a good topic to touch base on to discuss how we prep for the season. An area we don't talk about is the mental preparation,
Yeah.
how we prepare, like set certain goals for the season, how the players go about it from a first class level and probably a lead on to international level as well. For me personally, I was training or we were playing first class cricket back in Sri Lanka, the aim was to be finish in the top 3, if possible the top wicket taking bowler for the season. Generally a spinner takes that mantle, of course, going with in line with the pitches that we have and the weather factor to everything. So spinners bowl the bulk of the overs. So trying to be on top of that, because you're trying to hit the ground running pretty much to be the top player or in terms of a bowler for the season. So me, the preparation was more intense. As soon as the season starts, you want to be up and running. You don't want to be playing catch up cricket. You just want to be ahead of the curve, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In Sri Lanka, I think 50 wickets for the season was a good achievement. I think I'm not sure where the standards are now, whether it would have gone up a bit, because I think the wickets for the season might be with more games being played. The benchmark must have gone up. So you might be
Probably.
thinking probably 70-75 wickets a season might be the top mark. I mean, you break it down into, okay, how the price wickets you want to take for the season. You'll be playing
Mhm.
across top teams, right? When your season's ahead, the games that you're going to be playing. Like if you're gonna play up against SSC, Thilan Samarire is a price wicket you want to take. Chamara Silva was playing for Bloomfield a lot part of the career when we were playing against each other.
Yeah.
The last few seasons, I think he moved to CCC. So those were two players I would always like to have as a under the wicket tally, because I think I feel they're the top players in the domestic
Yeah.
circuit. So of course we had the luxury of having a few class batsmen in our lineup for NCC. So against the opposition, those two, if you take the wickets against them, they kind of, it's a feel good factor. So I would prepare myself like that. So, but then how do you prepare in terms of wickets? I mean, to get to 50 wickets, there's a method to get there as well. So generally you want to average around the 3 wicket mark per game, roughly. If I mean, on good days you get the 5-6 wickets, but then
Yeah.
the bad days, like, you know, the general game that you want to be averaging 3 wickets. The mindset, I mean, we discuss about how do we go about getting these wickets, right? So for me, if I can get 2 to 3 wickets from the top order, that's the top 6, it sets you up to, I mean, get a few wickets off the tail, which is more we call it the discount wickets, or the time we go shopping to grab a few extras. So that ends up as your 5-6 wicket haul in a match. But there's a lot of competition when this tail end comes in. All the bowlers, it's a good time to
Putting
get
their
back.
hand up.
Put the hand up, yep, just finish off the tail. So that was my prep as a bowler, spin bowler especially. Vida, yours would have been slightly different, being a fast bowler. What was your prep like for the season ahead?
Yeah, you summed up everything nicely there, Bora. As you said, for a fast bowler, it's a bit different, but I had similar mindset when it comes to setting up goals for the season. If you talk about training, I was lucky to be in the national fast bowling setup until I decided to come to Australia. And we had some wonderful coaches and trainers looked after us throughout the year. You can talk about Champaka Ramanayaka, Anusha Samaranayaka, and Prabhat Nisanka, Mario, and Arjun as trainers, Charlie sir as a batting coach, Sumitra Varnakul Surya, and we had Manoj and Bawa as our fielding coaches. So, you know, we've been really looked after like race horses, Bora. But you and I both know it's near impossible for a fast bowler to top the bowling rankings for a season in Sri Lanka, because yeah, with the pitches we play on, as you said, like the spinners tend to bowl a bulk of overs. But my plan, I always aim to try and end up in the top 10, which is like you'll have to at least take 40 plus wickets to get there. The new ball was the key, you know, and taking wickets in the second innings, those two were the factors, because when you're playing 3-day and 4-day games, sometimes in the second innings you might only get 5-6 overs, and if you don't take few wickets in those overs, the spinners will come and finish up taking all the wickets. So but whatever said and done, there is something for the fast bowlers in that first half an hour in the morning session. So you have to make that new ball count and take a couple of wickets, which will lead you to bowl a longer spell and come back for another spell. As you said, like, I'll put my hand up to come back later and try to grab a couple more wickets to clean up the tail.
Exactly right. With I think the mindset of a fast bowler, it's a hard grind, and you summed it up like saying, "Yep, that you got to make the new ball count." Because in Sri Lanka, with a bit of moisture early morning, the ball tends to move a bit more. So
Yeah.
playing at tracks of the NCC, Coles, SSC, before it dries out to be a belter of a wicket, or even the Tamil Union, those are the tracks, okay, as a fast bowler, you build yourself up. That's where you feel you can cash in.
Yeah.
But if you play on, where could you think of? Probably Bloomfield, CCC, fast bowlers generally take a back seat. But you assess the conditions. So as a fast bowler, you probably would have look at the fixture schedule and say, yep, I'm going to be playing, this amount of games at these pitches. This is where you're going to have more opportunity to make yourself available. But so you prepare in that aspect, right? As a spinner, when we are playing even the Premier League, some of the games we went to Super, I can't remember the term. It was like it's a second round comp where you play 4-day cricket and you start playing in test venues. I think we played a game in Gaul. As a spinner, when you're playing in goal, okay, your fingers are always like,
Yeah.
you're itching, you want the ball straight away, kind of,
Yeah.
it spins a mile. But I remember you took, I think those two, was a fifer in goal in one of the games we played.
Yeah. That was against Army, I think. Yeah.
So on days like that, it's like, those are performances you kind of didn't plan for the season, but when it comes good, you cash in and you want to make
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
isn't that? So
Yeah.
we always got to prepare or plan ahead for the season. No point going with the flow. Professionally back home, Sri Lanka, I think that's where the players need to do that. So the mental preparation, that's the main thing. So then even if I know you're going to have setbacks, but
Yeah.
at least we prepared for it. We kept the mindset, all right, I didn't start as much as I wanted. Okay, how can I catch up to get to my target? Or we reassess. That's the mental prep that we want to be in, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes you'll have to reassess your targets, your goals as well, Bora. As you said, sometimes maybe in the first 4 games, you might not get your 12 wickets or 15 wickets. Then you'll have to be realistic and reassess and adjust those targets and goals. I'll quickly touch up a little bit about bowling in second innings. Bora, it's a bit of a different ball game altogether. When you're bowling on deteriorating pitches, you got to bowl a little bit straighter to bring in that LBW into the play, and your fitness is the key. You're bowling in the fourth day. You might have to toil hard bowling those dirty overs. Sometimes it might be like 7-8 overs, just keeping those runs down. Maybe to get a wicket, maybe not. You might not get a wicket at all. So that's how I approached it. It's hard work, but sometimes, as you said, you get lucky and you end up taking 5-6 wickets running through the innings.
Now it's we've all done that part to build the pressure, as we call, in especially 4-day or longer format cricket, where you bowl in one line and length. We've heard it's a boring situation, but it builds up. It cuts the momentum of the opposition, and you keep grinding those overs until you created enough pressure around it. Now that it creates a chance. I remember, like, we don't go into luxuries of having your bat pad slips, but you bowl to a certain extent where the runs are controlled, and we hear about a lot of the guys in even in circuit cricket, they say you still got to be able to bowl 6 balls on the same spot. That comes from those trainings over time. You got to bowl at training as well as in matches in certain periods where all you got to focus is on landing that 6 balls on top of off or just outside off stump, because you've got the field set up there. And that's the one that goes into, we call the muscle memory, or building up into our minds. Okay, I know this is going to be a boring passage of cricket, but I've got to do this for the best interest of the team.
Yeah. Sometimes, Bora, you'll have to come around the wicket and bowl a few overs just to make a rough outside that off stump for a right-hander if a off spinner is bowling. So it's a dirty job, but someone has to do it.
Yes, exactly. And as spinners, I know we count on the fast bowlers running through, creating that rough. A guy with a stronger follow through will definitely, he'll be in the years of captain. I remember I would be Nupul's years, saying, Nupul, make sure you get this guy bowling in for a few. He's going to create more rough. It's tactics. I think that's the beauty of 4-day cricket. I mean, we've all played 4-day cricket. Imagine that's the same that applies in 5-day or test cricket. That trying to build small pockets of strategies to be on top.
Let's move on to Mahela Jayawardene joining Sri Lankan team in the World Cup qualifiers. Bora.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm delighted to see that. And what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, how good is that? Is all the simple words I've got. I've been excited. I saw it in the news in the morning. We've seen his involvement in the technical committee. Now seeing him, roped in as a consultant for the team. as well as I think there's a further extension of him being involved with the under-19s, even better scenario with the lead up to the World Cup or him being in that camp. That's a short-term fix that we want. We've heard guys talk about, all right, we are doing so many changes, but we also need a short-term fix to come out of this hole we are in. We've got one of the best brains in the game going around at the moment. He's, in terms of a modern coaching setup, he's the person you want. He's been, you've known the different teams he's been involved with. So it'll definitely lift the mood in the camp. I remember this is more the effect of Mahela as a captain, but I just have a feeling it's gonna roll into him coaching as well. I remember Mahela back in 2012, he came back to captain Sri Lanka. This was when Dilshan he resigned from the captaincy. Sri Lanka was touring Australia for a tri-series, and the lead up wasn't good. We've lost matches, we lost series, and then things were just going downhill. The short-term fix, Mahela took over the captaincy and we toured to Australia. No one gave us a chance going in there. It was like, you could hear it in the media. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a proper thrashing. Number one, we are going overseas, Australia, playing shorter format cricket. We generally, we've had a bad run of form at the time. It was, we're not going to make it count. But there were a lot of positives in that series. We went on to play in the finals against Australia, a best of 3 finals. We lost 2-1. I think when in third game, it went 1-1 each, but we fell short by a few runs in the finals. But he turned it around. This was the game, I'm not sure if you remember, where Sri Lanka, I think we put down 330 odd runs and India had to chase it 40 overs to get qualified or get a chance of them qualifying for the finals. And this is where Kohli made his trademark or a name for himself, that he's a strong batsman when it comes to chasing targets.
King of chasing.
Yeah, they smacked us around the park. They chased us, I think, inside 35, 36 overs. They got but the following game, Sri Lanka won and managed to get into the finals. But it was a massive change. So similarly, I hope that's the change that we are looking for from a Mahela coming into the coaching point of view. But also for the setup, the players, the coaching staff, everyone around it is going to learn what they have to do to improve themselves. I know there's a lot onus on the players to perform. The coaching staff will learn, they got to be accountable for their actions, what they need to be, if we talk about strategy, each coach who's designated for his part in the team has to provide the output that is needed to come make this strategy work. So I just have a feeling it's a good result. The pluses are so unbound when it comes to the under-19 camp, Imagine, we've seen back in time when Aravinda De Silva used to come in more of a consultant basis for under-19 cricket back in our time. It was always a good, these are the guys, the juniors who we look up to, I'm sure the younger generation looks up to Mahela as similar to how we look up to him, and then it's more motivation to learn. So I'm stoked that we've signed him. He's signed up. I'm just excited to see him. I'm sure he's already on making, working out plans. In the earlier shows, we talked about Dasun making calls to Mahela. It's going to be more in-house meetings as well. So that's exciting.
Yeah. So, but it's only for 1 week. But his mere presence in that dressing room will raise their standards itself, because as we discussed in earlier episodes, Mahela is someone very good at bringing out the best from each player. He is very good with his tactics. It'll be easier for the captain and the coaches to come up with plans to tackle situations, discussing things with him. It'll be much easier. And with under-19s, he's going to be there for, I think, at least 5 to 6 months, which is which is a longer gig, and he's doing this on an honorary basis. Sri Lanka cricket can't afford him. If he asks for money, they can't afford him. But that shows how good of a character Mahela is, and we'll have to make use of this opportunity.
I've always read that Mahela is keen to give back to the game, and I mean, we've been back to the game in Sri Lanka at that under 19 level. That's the key learning stages, especially under 19. Those players are then going to transition through to the club circuit level as well. So if the presence of Mahela, how he wants to train the players, how to evolve into a professional player, that's the age mark to get into their years and make those changes. So nothing much more than more respect for what Mahela is doing. I mean, on a honorary basis, 5 months out of his calendar, that's a massive sacrifice he's made, because he's in the international circuit as a marquee coach at the moment. So what I would like the Sri Lankan coaching setup is to learn, okay, when you have a guy like this, what can you do to improve yourself? If each coach can put it, all right, Mahela is going to be in under 19 circuit. I'm in under 19 coaching setup. How can I improve myself by at least another 5%? What can I learn of him? Something new. That's the change we want to see from a management point of view. I know we hear about, yes, the players have to do it, but all right, we've got to be able to understand these are the coaching philosophies he's bringing to the table. We've got to learn from it. So then, okay, after the 5 months are done, we're going to be, yes, this is what are the changes we've seen. That has to happen. That's the main, if I'm in, the head of the cricket setup back there, or the coaching setup, or be in charge of a high performance center, those are the changes I'd like my coaching staff to take on board when you get guys like Mahela working through these under 19 circuits. I'm hope that's the change we'll see as well.
Yeah, you're right. You'll have to give it some time, isn't it, Bora? You have to trust the process and stick to those plans for a longer period to see the results. You're not going to see you're not going to see immediate results. You're not going to see the results in a couple of months. You used to play in a certain way since, I don't know, in Sri Lanka, generally a kid will start playing cricket when he's 8 or 9 years old. So you're used to playing in a certain way, and it takes time to change few things, especially everyone's technique evolves over the years. I mean, I saw Steve Smith talk about this. He's talking about his grip. He says, it keeps evolving, and he doesn't have something concrete. It changes. I've seen Sangha and even I think it was Mahela who was talking about Aravinda Silva's. I think he changes it every time he goes to bat. He changes it depending on where you play. So with the kids, you'll have to give them some time to get used to the changes you do. And to do that, coaches have to be patient. In Sri Lanka, we have a culture where coaches have to produce results, which is not helping in that case.
Yeah, I mean, with the coaching, we are heading the right way. We are seeing the changes that are being introduced. I know it's taking time, but I think we should see the results over time. Moving into international cricket or news around the world, with our England pulls out of the series against Pakistan as well. So that's the second team that has cancelled their tour. Australia, I think the next in line, if at all, to pull out. But something that we thought might happen. I mean, once New Zealand pulled out.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised to see England pulling out from that. What I saw in media was it's the same security company that advised both teams. So I think it's the same for both teams. So it's sad for Pakistan cricket. They don't have any cricket leading up to the T20 World Cup now. They were supposed to play at least 6-7 games before the World Cup. Now they started playing a domestic T20 tournament at the moment, but it's not the same. At least they're playing some cricket, but they're disappointed. You can see Ramesh Raja and almost all the Pakistan ex-cricketers coming out and showing their disappointment. It's something you can't control, Bora.
I've read it. I mean, Sri Lanka are I mean, there are talks of probably saying being wanted to send out a team if the fixtures clear out and there is a window open up. But again, there's going to be, differences. There might be players who are a bit hesitant to go out there. There might be players who would want to know more coverage about the security setup. So well, let's wait and see. I hope cricket returns at some form over there, but I guess a lot of factors need to be ironed out in terms of player safety. In the IPL, we've got the Sri Lankan boys in the RCB camp. We've seen Vanidhu play 2 games. Hasn't made a name for himself yet. Not the best of starts in the first game. It was predicted he was gonna find it a bit difficult. Probably the lead up to the IPL, he wasn't in the best of form with the bat. I mean, it's a strong competition. That's all we can nail it down. Yesterday night, Shamsi played his first game, and he's the number 1 T20 bowler in world cricket. He played for Rajasthan Royals, and none of the local Indian players struggled to pick him. They just took him off. So the same thing Vanidhu is facing. It's not. I know we there's a mentality where we say, okay, the players get used to as soon as a player goes there, they find out his secrets, they get used to it. But to a certain extent, it's the quality of cricket in that form. They pick up very quickly. Indians are the best players of spin. So you see that they are. So I'm sure Vanidhu is learning he's probably getting exposed to new methods. He's probably knowing how they analyze his bowling as well from coaches and getting more feedback on that.
I mean, we talked about players have to make calls to ex-players and ask how they did things. I think Vanidhu might have to give a call to Lasith Malinga. He spent 10, 11 years in IPL, and he found a way to change his things over the years to be effective throughout his IPL career. So because it's the prize tournament in the world, Bora, everything's analyzed, right? And you're bowling to the best batsman in the world, so you expect to go for a few runs. But as you said, Vanidhu is a bit low on confidence as well, because he's not scoring runs. So, but I hope they'll give him a couple more chances, because he's proven he's good enough to play at that level, right? So it's a matter of time, because he's a fighter as well. You can see he has the fight in him. He'll come back stronger. And but with franchise cricket, it's not about giving you a chance. You're there to win. You're getting paid that amount of money to perform. So the quicker you learn, you will survive.
Moving further on, there's more cricket being played out currently. The Australian women's team are playing against India over here. Last game, there was a very tough game that Australia pulled off out of nowhere. It's a strong Australian team now. It's similar to Steve Waugh when he was captaining the team and was known as the Invincibles, where they seem to be winning games out of tough situations. And this Australian team, led by Meg Lanning, they seem to be, enjoying the time that they enjoying each challenge, because they seem to be coming out on top every time they play there. So they're on a hot streak of winning games.
Yeah, for me, this equals to 96 World Cup win for Sri Lanka, Bora. I can see, because we have a ladies team in our club, I can see the interest of the ladies joining to play cricket has skyrocketed. We'll get messages asking when can I come for training, which I didn't see like a few years ago. So it's a massive thing, and it's really good to see that. And even my daughter, she's keen watching women's cricket, and she loves it. 26 games in a row, that's amazing. I mean, it's second one day, they were never going to win it, and they made sure they stayed in the game till the last over, and Indians, they crumbled under the pressure, and it was their game. They took it out of their hands. That's what champion teams do, Bora. You find a way to win from any situation. So this team has done really well for the last couple of years, and I can see them doing well for the next couple of years as well, because not many players will retire from that, especially from that batting
We've
lineup.
got a strong senior group there as well who will be
Yeah.
playing next, 2-3 years at least of cricket. So
Mm.
it argues well for Australia women's cricket. Like I say, the numbers are going up. There are more female or ladies, girls participating in cricket. It's just good for the game up here in Australia.
Absolutely. And talking about women's cricket, Bora, Chamaria Atapattu finally gets to play some cricket. She's
Yeah,
she's
that's
uh,
good.
she's in Australia to play with Perth's coaches in the
Yeah.
WBBL. I was trying to find the game she played last, and I think you had to go back about 1.5 years. Yeah, she hasn't played any cricket at all. So
Yeah, I've seen in the news or in some of the social media channels, I think women's cricket in Sri Lanka doesn't have any form of cricket. Chamari is a strong player. I mean, it's her prime time's been missed out because of this COVID situation or not
yeah,
getting any exposure to play. She has a good run against the Australians. I remember she cracked 170 odd runs in a game, and
yeah,
she would always stand out as the player, the leader for us in Sri Lanka from a female cricket point of view. So we wish her well for the series here in the Big Bash. Hopefully she can make some good scores to know that she's still in sync.
we try to catch up with her if we can. If she comes to Melbourne, maybe we can talk to her and ask what she thinks about ladies cricket. As we come to the end of this episode, once again, I want to thank our listeners for their amazing feedback, especially about our last episode. Now that we are in episode 5, we are building up a backlog of episodes. So feel free to go back to our past episodes and have a listen. And thank you for your suggestions. And we are planning to do something special in the near future for you. We'll pass those details soon. So if you haven't subscribed to our podcast yet, maybe pause this episode right now and go back and do that, so that when we release our latest episode, it will appear on top of your podcast feed.
Before we wrap it up, we've just got 3 questions that we want to run past. Few listeners have put in the questions, 3 questions, and try to give some answers up.
Okay, I'll go with Arjun first. He wants to know what we think who will win the IPL. Bora. At the moment, we got 3 teams on top of the table, and about there's 4 teams trying to find a spot in the top 4. Who do you think will come up
My
as
picks
champs?
for me, one of the 2 top captains who are in coaching roles. So for me, Ricky Ponting's Delhi Capitals might be the winners this year. Mumbai Indians, I know they're struggling a bit, not the best of runs, but I'm going with the Delhi Capitals.
I want to go against you, but I have to agree with you, Bora. Simply
Yeah.
because of their fast bowlers. I mean, they keep taking wickets in the first 6 overs, and that push the opposition right back to the wall. And you're taking the wickets of 2-3 best batsmen in the side, and it's very hard to come back from that in a T20, especially when you come to the latter part of the tournament. So I have to go with Delhi Capitals as well.
All right, Devin's got this question, interesting one. Who do you think is the best captain going around, or any captain that you can name who you played under? So I think a question for both of us.
Yeah.
We played in the same team, so going back into our teams, I guess Upul Taranga's led most part of our careers up there. He's a good captain who stands up there.
Mm.
Who do you reckon, Vida?
Oh, it's a bit of a tough one. I played under few captains who went on to captain Sri Lanka as well. So, but out of them, I'll have to go with Mahela.
He was a cut above the rest, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I think international cricket now, because there are different captains as well across different formats. Owen Morgan in the shorter format for England, I think he's created, I mean, he's led the team over a period of time. We've heard
Mm.
how England struggled in 2015 and then they had to build up a team and came up. So I think if you're to pick a captain who's made a change and who's doing well, for me, Morgan's the pick.
Yeah, he completely changed the outlook of that England white ball team. Basically, they built it from the scratch and become this powerhouse at the moment. Okay, the third one, we have a question from Amin. He's asking, what are our thoughts about Everest Premier League now happening in Nepal? We got some of our boys playing in the Everest Premier League. Bora. I think we have about 7 players. We got Upul Taranga, Tamika Prasad, Sadhun Veera, Kodi, Sikuke, Prasanna, Oshada Fernando, Asela Gunaratna, and Sahan Arachige. Then we have about 7 players playing there. They just started. I think they played 1 or 2 games.
I think it's good for global T20 tournaments coming up. There are a lot of circuit cricket being played. I know there was the T20 played in Canada. This is the Nepal version of the T20 comp. So circuit cricket is blooming. A lot of the strong Nepali players is Sandeep Lamichani. He's the leg spinner. So he'll probably a trademark player there for the local players, but it's few Sri Lankans up there. I think they make up the strong combination of overseas players in teams. Good opportunity for a guy like Asela Gunaratna. We hear his name familiar, but he's been sidelined because of injuries and hasn't been able to put in a strong string of performance to make his case to come in. So once you go out because of an injury, it's even harder to break it in. So a good opportunity for him to make a statement. World T20 squad still can be open to name till October. So there are chances to change. So if they want to put a name into to be, selected, gotta make these tournaments count.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one selector used to say, one inning can change your entire life. So especially for cricketers in this region, Bora, like players playing in Bhutan, Nepal, they don't get a chance to play in franchise cricket. So this is a very good opportunity for them. And even you talked about Asela, Sikuge Prasanna, who is, I haven't seen him that fit forever, because he used to be my roommate. He's the best roommate I ever had, Bora. He's an army man, and he'll wake you up and say, tea ready for us, and he was like living at home when he was my roommate. He's a fantastic guy. Rooms tip top clean.
We used to train a lot together. Siku, part of the spin academy, is back in Sri Lanka. He's a colorful character. He loves. I mean, it's good. You've seen his entertainment on the field when he takes wickets, all the gimmicks he puts out. That's him, natural as a person as well. He's always with a smile. He'll crack a joke. But a fierce competitor also. So we used to back in the time, make fun or joke of his batting, but he just took it serious, and he'll always, he scores the runs. Thank you for joining us with the Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast, and we would like you to subscribe to the podcast that you're listening on Apple, Google, Spotify. You'll be able to listen to the latest episode as soon as it is released.
Bora and I are both active on Twitter. Give us a follow on Twitter, and send us your feedback in our Facebook community page as well. We are now on YouTube as well. If you want to find links for our socials, it'll be in the show notes. We really appreciate if you can leave us a quick review on Apple Podcasts with generous 5 stars. That will help other Sri Lankan cricket-loving listeners like you to find this podcast.
Cheers, guys.
See you next week.